Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say hi and then talk about these emails that I found through Sandra Birchmore's file. There's like 1,900 pages of emails between the detectives and what have you. So, by the way, disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. I am a legal investigative consultant. And pretty much this is what I do for a living. And by the way, my name is Diana. I'm the Portuguese that, people love to hate. All right. So I found these emails in Sandra's file. Don't ask me how I came across it. I don't know. So on August 16th of 2021, to Detective Gerard Mataliano from Sergeant John Fanning. And now, subject, Sandra Birchmore Apple laptop analysis. On February 4th of 2021, Trooper Dunn responded to Canton for the suicide of Sandra Birchmore. Trooper Dunn was advised by multiple sources that the victim, Sandra, was possibly pregnant and that she said the father of the baby is Detective Matt Farwell. When did he become a detective? From the Stoughton Police Department. On February 9th of 2021, Troopers Dunn, Keefe, and I responded to Blank and Canton to retrieve Sandra's laptop and any other relevant evidence. We retrieved Sandra's Apple laptop and we were able to use a password to gain access to the device. The device was then turned over to Trooper Nick Guarino for data collection and preservation. Over the next several weeks, I analyzed data from Sandra's laptop. In particular, I was investigating any criminal conduct related to Sandra's death, and Sandra's laptop gave me access to approximately 12 months of iMessages, social media content, and other documents/databases. Matt and Sandra had texted several times over the year, as well as communication with many other friends and family of Sandra. It was clear, based on texts with Matt, that he and Sandra had a sexual relationship, as he told us in previous interview. Blank redacted. All of these conversations were flagged in the forensics report of her laptop. Now, mind you, this was in August of 2021. Sandra communicated often with friends and family. It appeared that Sandra had sexual relationships with other men in the months leading up to her death. There were no threats of harm by any of these individuals, including Matt. That's a lie. Respectfully submitted, Sergeant John Fanning. Okay, Chief McNamara from Deputy Chief Holmes. February 8th of 2021. Report completed and submitted on August 29th of 2022. Chief McNamara, pursuant to your directive of February 5th, 2021, to conduct this investigation, I hereby submit the following report into the matter of the unattended death of Sandra Birchmore and into the possible violations of the policies, procedure, and rules and regulations of the Stoughton Police Department. Investigative Directive. This administrative investigation was conducted to determine any violations of policies, procedures, rules, and regulations of the Stoughton Police Department by any of its employees. This investigation began as a result of the unattended death investigation that was conducted by the Massachusetts State Police into the death of Sandra Birchmore of Canton, Mass., formerly of Stoughton, Mass., and a former participant in the Stoughton Police Explorers program. Investigative reports and evidence in this case was shared by the Massachusetts State Police concerning personal relationships that members of the department had with Sandra Birchmore. Throughout the course of this investigation, there was an understanding between the Massachusetts State Police and me that should any evidence be discovered concerning criminal culpability involving anybody connected in any way to this case, that I would refer that information to the MSP for further investigation. Per policy, the Chief of Police received weekly updates as to the progress of this investigation per Standard 52.2.4, and on occasion with more frequency when relevant. A determination was made in the early stages of this investigation that disclosure of allegations to employees who would eventually be identified would jeopardize this investigation. Standard 552.2.5. Oh, by the way, I hope you guys don't get tired of me reading to you. Next thing you know, I'll be like Peter Tragos from Lawyer You Know. But anyway, okay, so allegations of employees who would eventually be identified would jeopardize this investigation. An approximate timetable was provided and updated as information developed. Some delays in the processing of data were beyond the control of this investigator. Hey, that makes sense. Some delays in the processing of data were beyond the control of this investigator. Any dispositions or findings that are based... Oh, shit, hang on. My mother's calling. Hello? Et pense que j'assintre. Well, Joe tinha pessoas lá. So, eu vou falar com ele. Penso que a Liz está aqui. Yeah. Strategiemüll. Okay. All right, Mom. Okay, bye, Mom. Okay, bye. All right. That was my mother. And if you guys don't know how Portuguese are, we call each other up and we're like, hey, Maria, did you hear this? But I think my cousin, by marriage, I believe his father died, but he lives 2 houses down, so I got to go check. But anyway, introduction and background of the investigation. On February 4th, 2021, the Canton Police Department responded to a sudden death. The call originated as a well-being check from blank, the employer of the victim, Sandra Birchmore. The call came here to the Stoughton Police Department as Birchmore's address of record was 40 Holbrook Ave in Stoughton. Further communication directed that the Canton Police do the well-being check at 3307 Windsor Woods Way, as Birchmore had moved there. Reportedly, Birchmore had not reported to work in several days. The victim, Miss Birchmore, was pronounced deceased at the scene by a Canton paramedic. She died from blank. On or about February 5th of 2022, you were contacted by a detective from the Massachusetts State Police Detective Unit that is assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. The nature of the call was to notify you that a former member of the Stoughton Police Explorers program, the program is now terminated as of 2016, of this department had blank. The trooper related that the former police explorer and victim Sandra Birchmore had been in a blank relationship with Detective Matthew Farwell for an extended period of time. He indicated that on the day Miss Birchmore, blank, other troopers and the Canton Police Department responded as they ordinarily would to any unattended death. The MSP had been contacted by friends and family of the victim, Miss Birchmore, alerting the detective unit to the relationship between Matthew Farwell and Birchmore. Concerns were blank. See also exhibits S1 through S24. It was further relayed that the Massachusetts Medical Examiner's Office took jurisdiction of the body and later confirmed that the victim, Miss Birchmore, blank. The preliminary investigative information showed Detective Farwell on the video surveillance of Miss Birchmore's apartment approximately 4 days before she was discovered deceased. Farwell spent about 20 minutes inside the apartment. Further investigation by MSP indicated that Farwell had known the victim, Miss Birchmore, since she was approximately 13 years of age and began, I'm assuming, a blank relationship with her, bang, bang. So at the age of 15. Text messaging developed from the MSP investigation indicated that Farwell had blank with Sandra Birchmore when she was age 15 and that Farwell blank. The substance of the conversation shows that Farwell corroborates this action. Blank. The substance of this conversation shows that Farwell corroborates this action. The investigation by the Massachusetts State Police did not yield sufficient probable cause with which to charge Matthew Farwell with a crime at that time. After discussion with you, me, and the appointing authority, a decision was made to place Matthew Farwell on paid administrative leave, given the nature of what was known at that point in time. Ultimately, the MSP investigation would determine, through the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, that the cause of death of the victim, Sandra Birchmore, blank. Analysis of the victim's communication shows extensive dialogue between herself and Matthew Farwell when Matthew Farwell told her that he had arrived at her apartment and she told him to come up. Matthew Farwell was the last known person to see Sandra Birchmore alive. Given the amount of data, the town authorized the assistance of outside investigators. Private investigator Paul Italian, whatever the fuck it is, was initially brought in to assist, and we would later bring PI Robert Fries and Michael Bates as an IT consultant. All investigators are retired, ranking members of the Massachusetts State Police with extensive investigative experience. Much of the initial investigative steps were centered on a PDF document that contained a download of data from the victim Sandra Birchmore's laptop. The laptop had been synchronized with her cellular phones. A later analysis of the cell phones provided a data pool that was less cumbersome and easier to identify users and people with whom the victim Sandra Birchmore was having discussions. Data was provided to me in Celebrite format for easier and more organized analysis. The investigation would later show that Matthew Farwell had a long-standing blank with the victim Sandra Birchmore, and that his twin brother, Officer Matthew Farwell, had a blank relationship with the victim Sandra Birchmore. The investigation also determined by a preponderance of the evidence that Officer Robert Devine had a blank relationship with the victim Sandra Birchmore. The investigation shows evidence that blank behavior took place between Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore, and that Robert Devine was engaged blank of Matthew Farwell and William Farwell as his understudies. In other words, they're saying that Devine groomed the Farwells, which I could see. I could totally see. So, Notwithstanding the resignation of any prospective targets of this investigation, interviews were drafted and strategically planned. To the furthest extent possible, we exhausted all investigated resources. The investigation represents a crossroads between the statutory authorized investigative authority of the MSP detectives assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and the appropriate sharing of information in order to carry out a comprehensive administrative investigation. At a point early in this investigation, there was an understanding that the MSP still maintains primary jurisdiction over any criminal activity that the administrative investigation could reveal. To that extent, the understanding was that if I found evidence of a crime, I would stop the administrative process and refer this case as well as all evidence back to the MSP. One witness came forward alleging blank by Matthew Farwell. This matter was referred back to the MSP, and the victim in that case did not cooperate with the interview process. I conducted a review of the administrative investigation of Robert Devine that was conducted by investigator Paul White. I reviewed the findings as well as the entire case file. I conducted personnel file reviews on blank, Matthew Farwell and William Farwell. Several civilian witness interviews were also conducted. A conclusion of fact is detailed below. Okay, so this is pretty much like, I think I came upon gold. But anyway, oh yeah, and I wanted to also mention one thing. Fucking Turtle Boy. He takes that freaking award that Brian gave him and legit threw it on the floor like a toddler would throw his Xbox if you took it away for too long. I mean, the kid had like a legit, the guy, legit like panic attack right in front of us, live, real time, happening. Okay, so executive summary. Matthew Farwell has been a sworn member of the Stoughton Police Department. Matthew Farwell had been a sworn member of the Stoughton Police Department from March 27th of 2012 until the date of his resignation on April 1st of 2022. He was a member of the Stoughton Police Explorers Program group during his, oh fuck, look at that bug. God damn. That thing would have caused some serious harm to the Portuguese. Can't have that. I love my sweatshirt. See what that says? Fight ugly. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I had TB demonetized for his fundraiser, and I reported the links for like all the donation shit because he would change it up from like Cash App to the Give Send Go, and then I think someone else had another thing for him. So I just clicked every fucking link. So I know he got demonetized because he was complaining about that the other day. Mission accomplished. All right. I'm going to probably do this in parts because this is like mad long. It's like 2,000 pages. Matthew Farwell has been a sworn member of the Stoughton Police Department. I think we already did that. After high school, he entered the military and later acted as a guest instructor within the Explorers Program at the request or direction of Robert Devine. Sandra Birchmore was also a member. Maybe I can make this brighter. Hang on. Bigger. I'm fucking blind. I used to be able to see so good. And now it's like, I can't see anything. I never thought this would happen. So Kev's got 1020s. I got 1060s. Fuck. Okay. Sandra Birchmore was a member of the Stoughton Police Explorers Group beginning in 2010. So that means Farwell. So if we're in 2026 and 2012, so Farwell is what? I suck at math. No. So he got with her like a couple of years later. The hell was that? She was a member of the Stoughton Police Explorers program beginning in 2010 when she was just 13 years old. She was on the standby list for the program in 2010. She was a member in 2011 and remained in the program until 2016, the year she graduated from Stoughton High School. Wow, so he was probably like in his late 20s, right? They were groomed by Divine. Sandra Birchmore was found deceased in her apartment in Canton on February 4th of 2021 after a well-being check when she didn't report to work. The Norfolk County District Attorney's Office conducted an investigation, and it was determined the manner of her death was blank. On February 6th of 2021, Matthew Farwell was interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police as part of the Sandra Birchmore death investigation. During the interview, Matthew Farwell stated that he knew Sandra for about 10 years, and they met when she was in the Explorer program of the Stoughton Police Department. He knew that she had previously blank. Matthew Farwell stated to the state police that he began blank relationship with Sandra Birchmore in 2020. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. In December of 2020, Sandra told him blank. He last saw her on the evening of February 1st, 2021, when he went to her apartment to end their relationship. They had a pretty nasty argument, and he left there at approximately 9:30 p.m. Those are my dogs. They're outside. During the state police investigation into Sandra Birchmore's death, there was an analysis of her devices, cell phone, laptop, etc., and her social media platforms. This part of the investigation revealed that Matthew Farwell was in contact with Birchmore by text message going back to at least 2020. During many of their text communications, the topic of discussion were blank. But they could have gotten new phones, you know what I mean? So that doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't in communication prior to that. There had been hundreds of text messages between Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore that had been reviewed as part of this investigation. Of note, there was a text message exchange between Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore on February 11th of 2020. Specifically, the content of one message, marked M. Farwell text number 7, refers to the date of blank. It indicates that Farwell, within blank narrative, acknowledge whatever. And another text dated February 11th of 2020. Birchmore says blank. Farwell replied blank. This text message is marked blank. In the following text, Birchmore cites the date and added, and Farwell replied with a smiley face, ... and the thingy, the whatever, and then me too. Excuse me. This text is marked. On the same date, Sandra Birchmore texted, and Matthew Farwell replied blank. In another text message between Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore, Birchmore says blank, to which Farwell replied, me too. This text message was on June 19, 2020, and is marked M. Farwell, Texas 3. This investigation has determined that Sandra Birchmore's date of birth was May 13th, 1997, and she was 15 years old on April 10th of 2013. So, 15 on April 10th of 2013. Matthew Farwell resigned from his position with the Stoughton Police Department on March 11, 2022, with the resignation to take effect on April 1st of 2022. He resisted sitting for an interview in this investigation. The investigation has determined that Matthew Farwell violated Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations as listed below. Findings. Regarding the allegation that Officer Matthew Farwell demonstrated conduct unbecoming of an officer in violation of Section 1, the Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, this alleged allegation is sustained. Analysis. Matthew Farwell demonstrated immoral, improper, disorderly, or intemperate personal conduct that reflects discredit upon the officer himself, upon his fellow officers, or upon the Stoughton Police Department. The investigation has revealed that Matthew Farwell blank relationship with Sandra Birchmore when she was 15 years of age. Their relationship continued for many years and included interactions and communications while Farwell was on duty for the Stoughton Police Department. Regarding the allegation that Officer Matthew Farwell violated Section 1 of the Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, this allegation is not sustained. Wait a minute. Matthew Farwell demonstrated, regarding the allegation that demonstrated conduct unbecoming of officer, that was sustained. Okay. Then, regarding the allegation conformance to laws, this allegation is not sustained. There is insufficient evidence to prove or disprove this allegation. On the dates of February 11, 2020 and June 19th of 2020, Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore engaged in text messaging in which they discussed the date of blank. The content of the text messages indicate that Farwell and Birchmore blank. Matthew Farwell was a sworn member of the Stoughton Police Department on that date. In order to have sustained a finding of this allegation, investigators would need testimony of Sandra Birchmore, who is deceased. But now they have a law where it's like a dying declaration. So essentially, like if the deceased said something like, this person did this or that, and it was in writing, then that could be admitted. But I think that, that allegation would be, Regarding the allegation that Officer Matthew Farwell demonstrated incompetence when he failed to demonstrate sound judgment in violation of Section 3 of the Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, the allegation is sustained. What about the violations of post? And this motherfuckers, we paid them. This whole time, we have paid them. Analysis. On the date of June 7, 2020, Matthew Farwell failed to demonstrate sound judgment when he engaged in texting with Sandra Birchmore while on duty for the Stoughton Police Department. The content of the text messages was that he requested Birchmore to meet him on Walnut Street while he was on duty. Regarding the allegation that Officer Matthew Farwell was untruthful in violation of Section 4, the Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, this allegation is sustained. On February 6th of 2021, Matthew Farwell was interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police Massachusetts State Police regarding the death of Sandra Birchmore. During the interview, Farwell admitted blank. A review of the text messages between Farwell and Birchmore shows that he was not truthful in describing the extent of their blank. Regarding the allegation that Officer Matthew Farwell failed in his attention and devotion to duty in violation of Section 7 of the they don't fucking care. All right. We know all this bullshit. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Maybe this will. Okay. On February 11, 2021, William Farwell was interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police as part of the Sandra Birchmore death investigation. During the interview, William Farwell stated that he first met Sandra about 10 years earlier when she was in the Explorer program and he was a guest instructor. In 2018, while he was assigned to a paid detail, Sandra approached him and they began to talk about her interest in joining the Army. Farwell put her in touch with an Army recruiter and Sandra began to contact him on a regular basis. William Farwell admitted during his state police interview that he had a blank with Sandra going back about 2 years. The relationship ended when Sandra approached him and his family at a 4th of July event. After she approached his family, Farwell blocked her on social media, but they stayed in touch off and on. During the state police investigation into Sandra Birchmore's death, there was an analysis of her devices and social media platforms. This part of the investigation revealed that Matthew Farwell was in contact with Birchmore by text message going back to at least April of 2020. Some of the content has communications in which William Farwell encouraged Sandra Birchmore blank. Use your imagination. There's information in some text messages that Farwell is either working a paid shift or paid detail while he is exchanging blank text messages with Birchmore. The dates and times of these text messages were compared to attendance and paid detail records and revealed the following. April 19th of 2020. William Farwell was assigned to a midnight to 8 a.m. patrol shift and exchanged text messages with Sandra Birchmore, which blank. The text messages began at 6:47 a.m. and continued past his a.m. end shift of time. William Farwell was assigned to a midnight to 8 shift on April 29th. Exchanged text messages. May 6th, he exchanged text messages with her. December 21st of 2020, again. Regarding the allegation that Officer William Farwell demonstrated conduct unbecoming of an officer in violation, those fucking rules don't matter. They don't follow them. Later on, a paid detail that he demonstrated improper, immoral, disorderly, or intemperate personal conduct that reflects. Let's see if there's anything good. He coerced Sandra to do something via text message. When he text messaged on February 11th, analysis of the date, December 20. Okay, I'm just trying to find. Okay. Okay, so regarding the allegation that Officer William Farwell violated the CGIS, LEAPS, and NCIC data, of course I got like a tickling in my fucking throat at the worst possible fucking time. I'm going to stop there real quick. Okay, so we went that he accessed the LEAP database and what have you. So I'm just looking for juicy shit here, but I also was going to cover the Richard Allen thing, like going through like the Odinist gang. It's like a prison gang. And I just wanted to go over that because I know Bob and Allie mod of Defense Diaries, and they're really, really onto this. And so I think I want to shed some light because, like I said, I'm like really big into like our entire prison system and how they treat people. I mean, so this was like, this part of this case was like right up my alley. And I mean, it's sick. What they've done to Richard Allen is absolutely fucking disgraceful. All right. I'm just going to try to find like some good shit. Okay. Robert Devine demonstrated incompetence. Yep. He instructed her to meet him at the Chateau restaurant on December 21st of 2021. Regarding the allegation that Officer Devine was untruthful in violation of Section 4. On April 8, 2022, he was interviewed and at the MPTC Academy in Randolph. And these two douchebags were delegated by McNamara. And Devine just continually denied any type of contact. Of course, I mean, same shit. But I thought I saw some juicy shit in here. It's fucking like 2,000 pages. On February 26, 2021, I took the IMC Access Control thumb drive of Matthew Farwell and had retired Executive Assistant Marty DeCastro verify. Let me write that name down. Marty DeCastro. Sorry, I like to... Marty... Because sometimes you can, like, you know, connect pieces of the puzzle by names. The drive was kept in the box that was secured in my office. On March 22nd, 2021, I prepared an inventory of the property taken from Matthew Farwell and left the memo for you. Did you get the memo? On April... Okay, blank told me, blank, that had shared 4 full file boxes. Told me that blank had shared 4 full file boxes of documents that were Miss Birchmore's property, recovered from her apartment. Blank turned these boxes over to MSP Lieutenant Fanning. Later shared with me some personal notes that he took from the boxes that he thought might be relevant to this case. I reviewed the documents, which were mainly handwritten notes to people with whom she had personal relationships. On April 26, 2021, I delivered Detective Farwell's department-issued cell phone to Trooper Kevin Tufts of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office to be delivered to the investigation trooper. I think that meant investigative. I thought it was a... oh, no. I don't fucking know. I'm not even going to give them, like their names, like police. I'm just going to name them call them by their first name. Okay. On Friday, September 3rd of 2021, after having previously received authorization from the town manager, I met with retired Paulie Italian. He's a retired captain of the Massachusetts State Police and now works as an independent private investigator and consultant. How fucking convenient. I provided a brief overview of the Birchmore-Farwell matter. He signed a non-disclosure agreement at my request, and I provided him with copies of several documents. The reports of the MSP were provided along with several pages of notes and journals that were kept by Birchmore. On Thursday, September 30th of 2021, I met with Sergeant Fanning of the MSP ISU. What is that? Investigative Services Unit? Is that what that is? Hang on. All right. I was given a thumb drive that contained evidence from the unattended death investigation. The file was labeled as evidence. It contained blank. Another file that was a PDF was titled Black Light Case, Birchmore. This file contained 50,000 pages of communications that were pulled from Birchmore's computer. The computer had been synced with her cell phone. The files were conversations, text messages, iMessages, and various forms of communication with other contexts. The document was challenging to review in that it was not in chronological order and messages were duplicated. What? The town manager was notified September 30th of 2021. I met with investigative service. The purpose of his viewing it would be for further investigative purposes. The letter also indicated that the files would not be copied and would be returned upon completion of the investigation. I signed the document and took a copy for the case file. On Wednesday, October 6, 2021, I met Sergeant Fanning at the Office of District Attorney. Which one? And I received from him Sandra Birchmore's MacBook Air. The laptop was placed into my case file for later review. On Thursday, November 4th, 2021, I met with, I'm just trying to see if my dogs, conducted a strategic review of a thumb drive that contained file name Black Light Report 2021. So that would be 2021 09 202129 202122 2022 dash 52. So those are like the IA numbers. I didn't realize there were so many. This file was received from the MSP ISU and was the downloaded file from the laptop of Sandra Birchmore. The computer had been reportedly synchronized with her cell phone. During the review, we observed and discussed conversations between Matthew Farwell, William Farwell, and a recruiter from the Mass Army National Guard who was believed to be Birchmore's recruiting officer. We identified conversations that would be of interest to the U.S. military. We also noted that there were photographs and videos that had been exchanged between Birchmore and William and Matthew Farwell. On Tuesday, November 9, 2021, I reviewed all available files that had been kept archived in the department's dead records storage. What? These files, hold on a minute. I gotta do something about that. Just I gotta write this. I can't believe that. Dead record storage. That's fucked up. These files were in a W.B. Mason box labeled explorers and had been placed there by me after I moved into my office in 2017. Wait, who's this from? Wait, who is this? No, that's not it. This was from, who did this go to? Oh, that wasn't it. Was it McNamara? From Trooper Sean Quirk. No. Sean Quirk. That was Overstreet. All right. Yeah, you guys know about that whole thing with Robert Devine and like this girl that he was messing with, and then they saw, hi baby, and then they saw, I guess they ran in, I don't even know, but he ended up having the girl like sectioned, even though he was like pursuing her. Hi guys, what you do? Play my baby? You're stinky. This is Judy, and his daddy, Mac, is right here. Mac boinged a border collie that I had fostered. I fostered her and her two daughters, Coco, and what was the other one? I forget. Anyway, he was like 11 months old, and I caught him with his wanky in Savannah, and like I called the vet. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I can't get it out. And they were like, well, spray him with the hose. So that's what I did. And he got his wanky out, but by then she was already preggers. So I was like, she got fat and fat and fat. I was like, oh my God, she's about to have like 15 puppies. So she had 9. One died. I had 2 boys, 6 girls. And I had white ones because my Mackie's dad was white. He's American Bull Terrier. My son got him out in New York. So I kept his son, Junie. They're the best dogs. And I had just fostered another one that I had just had. And I found him a home. Thank God, because he was fucking crazy. All right, so that was Divine. But that was McNamara. And then I have something from Cullinane. So Cullinane got everything. Cullinane got everything. Hang on, let me see where his email stops. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to push out some content and stuff, but sometimes I get tied up in like an investigation, and I just, to be honest, I get lazy. I'm outside doing yard work like all day. My grass is growing like, I just freaking mowed it. What's today? I don't know. Thursday? I think I mowed it Saturday or Sunday. Consent of search of iPhone related to the death of Sandra Birchmore. So that was his, okay, wait a minute. Okay. Trooper Matthew Dunn. Birchmore had recently reached out to her, let her know she was pregnant. She had run into blank mother at the grocery store recently, possibly Stop and Shop, at which time Birchmore told blank mother that she was expecting. She pointed out, aside from seeing one another at volleyball, Birchmore and her mother did not communicate with one another. She was employed at Sharon High School. We all know that. Birchmore would confide in her, stated that she had a Facebook message regarding Birchmore's death, did a Google search, and got an uneasy feeling, which is what prompted her to contact investigators. But that's still Robert Devine. I mean, I think, Robert Devine was a catalyst in this. I think that he had a lot to do with this. And I know Matthew Farwell's father. He's a great guy. I mean, he's a city councilor in Brockton. He's an awesome, awesome guy. His name's Winthrop Farwell. He's a nice guy. And he was in law enforcement. He used to be the chief of police years ago. Okay, here's from Dave Cullinane. Let's see where this son of a bitch goes all the way back. Hang on. Cullinane. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm going in the right order. Okay, I am. All right. Let's see where he started. Man. Okay. All right. Let's go start with Cullinane. When did he start digging in here? All right. Let's see. All right. No, this one's from Laura Saylor to Public Records. Good afternoon. I met with Lieutenant Fanning this morning to discuss why no charges have been brought in the Sandra Birchmore case. He advised me to request documents related to the case via email. Request to your office. Specifics of what we seek are investigative documents related to the officer now in Abington. Agency involved who may have assisted the investigation. Laura Saylor. And that was in October 25th of 2022. All right, hang on. Okay, here's Cullinane's. November 8th of 2022. Public records request. I guess there's just like a basic email. Wait a minute, because I go through a different one. I go through the FBI vault. What is this? Sorry, guys. I do this all the time. Records at massmail.state.ma.us. All right. Okay, so on Tuesday, November 8th, Cullinane sends over a request. And then he gets Michael Morrissey gets the letter, this email from Megan Monahan. Good morning. We received the below public records request for any memos or emails sent or received by any employee of MSP which contains the phrase Birchmore, Sandra Birchmore, or Farwell. ADA Brandon Hunt will be handling this request upon his return, but I wanted to put it on people's radar. Of course you did. What are you doing? Then, hi, David from Cullinane writes to Traub. Hi, David. I just found a response from a few weeks back that I didn't initially see from the Canton police. I was just requesting the initial incident report involving Sandra Birchmore and was wondering if I could request that from them or if an exemption was still in effect. Then, let's see. Traub sends, I do not know when that denial from Canton was issued, but I spoke to our public records person, and I do not believe that the NDAO presently holds any objection to that release. We released our MSP death reports. As you know, each agency makes its own determinations on document releases, but I do not have reason to believe we would object if you resubmit. From Dave Cullinane to David Traub. Received the report from Canton. Thank you for that. I can make another formal request, but it seems the investigation is currently geared toward the misconduct of the officers, rather than Birchmore specifically. Would that open up the ability to request more information, possible evidence regarding her death and the crime scene? We just want to make sure when we cover it, we've covered all available resources to get it right. So then, let's see. Cullinane. So Traub responds, spoke to the attorney who did the release, and you have it all except stuff that perpetually gets held back for privacy or similar exceptions / reasons. She indicated there was nothing more to provide at this point. Then Cullinane got it, and thank you for checking. I assume the communication between officers is withheld as that portion is part of the active investigation. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Then Traub emails Cullinane back and says, would you give me a call for a chat? So Cullinane was like in on this shit. This is fucked up. I make another formal request, but it seems the investigation. Okay, yep, we did that one already. I just found yep, okay. It's the same thing. It just got forwarded to like everybody and their mother. All right, let me see if there's anything else that's good in here. I just like came upon this the other day, but I'm probably just gonna come back in a little bit and cover some of the Richard Allen case. I'll do that today, but I just wanted to get this in here because that essentially right there, he admitted to it. Farwell admitted to it. The first part that I read, he admitted to it. I mean, that's all there is to it. There's like 2,000 pages in this son of a bitch. Let me see. All right. I think I am going to go and take a break. Dude, they have a fucking law firm called Butters Brazilian LLP. That's got to be a fucking joke. So his attorney, Patrick Hanley, writes a letter to Sergeant John Fanning. Dear Sergeant Fanning, I am writing to follow up on a recent conversation and prior interview you had with my client, Matthew Farwell. As you know, Mr. Farwell has been cooperative with your investigation, including participating in interviews with you and permitting you to download certain information from his mobile phone. Throughout your conversations with my client and later with myself, you have indicated that you view him as a witness in your investigation. This is consistent with reality. Mr. Farwell has committed no crime. Like many, he is saddened by Miss Birchmore's death. During our recent conversation, you asked Mr. Farwell to submit a DNA sample and participate in a polygraph interview. Although I appreciate your diligence, I advised my client to decline these requests and the requests for further interview that accompanied them. I did so because they are far outside the norm for mere witnesses in an investigation. I was a prosecutor for 14 years and participated in hundreds of interviews with state police detectives like yourself. I could not recall once seeking a polygraph interview, and I could only recall seeking DNA of persons that the investigators and I considered targets. There are good reasons for anyone to chafe at a request for DNA and polygraph and for an attorney to advise his client to deny the request. Compiling Mr. Farwell's DNA profile would be highly invasive. It would yield genetic markers and highly personal health and family information. Based on the information he has already provided to you, that I will not restate here, I expect this DNA profile would reveal nothing of value to your case. Mr. Farwell has already provided highly personal information. In my opinion, providing DNA is a step too far. A polygraph raises similar concerns about invasion of privacy. The topics of questioning would be highly invasive. Furthermore, the results of a polygraph are inadmissible in court because courts have concluded that polygraph results are unreliable. See Commonwealth versus Mendes. Under the circumstances here, there is no reason for the state police to conduct a polygraph examination of my client. I write not only to explain my response to your request for DNA and polygraph of my client, but also to briefly address 2 points that may be underlying your request. First, my client had no role in Miss Birchmore's death. He certainly never encouraged her to take her life. Nor did he was shocked and saddened when he learned about it. If possible, please inform me when your investigation closes and of any conclusions that you draw with respect to Mr. Farwell. Please contact me if I may provide additional assistance to you or if you would like to contact my client. I need to go warm up my coffee and have a cigarette. You guys want to come with me? Do you want to come with me? I think they want to come with me to go with President D. Barber requested on behalf of Officer Farwell that he be allowed to come to the station to clear out his locker of personal belongings. Barber did not have any disposition of Farwell's intent or plans to resign from his employment. At Farwell's request, a tritium front post sight and a streamlight was removed from his department-issued firearm? The fuck is that? Wow. That's fucking crazy. They keep I guess there's this huge, it's like a storage locker. And that's where they put the, red case files or death files. Attorney Patrick Bryan was present to represent Devine on behalf of the Review Patrolmen's Union. He said, Devine said that Birchmore would find him. He had discussed her obsession with police officers. he would meet her while he was on duty, and she would offer to bring him coffee. They would typically talk for a while, and then he would leave. This occurred once per week. Devine discussed how Birchmore would exaggerate stories. He discussed an encounter where Sandra Birchmore approached him at Doyle's pub in Brockton around the time of her 21st birthday. She approached him at the bar and he left. Devine denied that he communicated with Sandra Birchmore on any text messaging platform. All right, let's go warm up coffee and have a cigarette. Actually,